a poignant Victorian-era photo of a sleeping baby in the arms of its mother who died during childbirth. Happy people embarking on their last journey on the Titanic, 1912. In the 20th century in Sweden, young women were forcibly sterilized as part of a program to ensure the purity of the nation. Violations of ethical norms included disobedience, mental disability, low intelligence, and birth from mixed marriages. The funeral of Emmett Till, who was lynched after a false accusation by a white woman. His mother held an open casket funeral to show the entire world what American racism was like. Anal plugs for treating headaches and colds. In the 19th century, a doctor might prescribe a set of rubber plugs for your runny nose. The Englishwoman Millie Cooper, an elite prostitute born in 1915. She started her career in the 1940s, and in 2011, at the age of 96, she was still working, earning $1,250 per session. Last Hope, a woman praying to an icon in a ward for HIV-infected patients. Russia, 1993. In 1904, Ota Benga was kidnapped from Congo and taken to the USA, where he was displayed in a human zoo. Chinese and Malayan girls forcibly taken by the Japanese to work as comfort women, World War II. It is estimated that up to 90% of comfort women died by 1947. Residents of the Warsaw Ghetto before their execution during the genocide of Jews. Murders in the ghetto occurred every day. The old, the frail, children, and women were killed. During Prohibition in the USA, bootleggers stole industrial alcohol, and authorities decided to intentionally poison it. This federal program killed at least 10,000 people by 1933. A Polish man and a German woman tied to a pillory of shame for having a relationship. The sign reads, "I am contaminating the race." An emaciated former prisoner of Buchenwald concentration camp drinks from a metal bowl shortly after the camp's liberation. April 1945. The Nushu alphabet, invented by women in a province of southern China for communication among themselves. As they were denied access even to primary education, it was used until 1912. After the atomic bombing of Hiroshima in August 1945, 70 to 80,000 people died from the explosion. By the end of the year, due to radiation and other consequences, the total number of victims exceeded 150,000. After the 2010 Pakistan flood, spiders, finding no shelter on the ground, climbed onto trees in the Sindh province. This area became a true nightmare for people with arachnophobia. Final photo of a pet owner with their dog before euthanasia due to an incurable diagnosis. The kidnapped South Korean actress Choi Yoon-hee is greeted by her new abductor, Kim Jong-il, North Korea, 1978. An elephant escaping from a monorail car, Germany, 1950. In the USA, slaves were forced to wear iron masks to prevent them from eating, singing, and speaking their native language. Slavery was abolished in the US in 1865 and in Brazil in 1888. Simo Heiha, a Finnish sniper, one of the most effective snipers in world history. According to various estimates, he shot between 542 and 742 Soviet soldiers. The democratically elected President Salvador Allende, moments before his death, during a military coup at the presidential palace. September 11th, 1973, Santiago, Chile. USA, Alabama, mass protests of the black population against white terror in September 1963. Priests consecrating ballistic missiles named Satan, Russia, 2022. A crowd burning books that did not conform to the ideology of the Hitler regime at a mass event in 1933. In 1958, Clennon King, who applied to the University of Mississippi, was forcibly committed to an insane asylum. The judge who delivered the verdict explained, "A Negro must be insane if he thinks he can be accepted into the University of Mississippi." Scientists from the University of Michigan conduct an experiment on themselves to study the effect of alcohol on the human body. Photos from 1949. A World War II veteran and participant in the storming of Berlin at the grave of his fellow soldier, May 9, 1980. Myrtle Corbin, a girl born in 1868 with a doubled pelvis and 4 legs. Myrtle spent her whole life in the circus, but later married a doctor and gave birth to 5 children. She lived to be 60. The world's first flying man, Otto Lilienthal. He died in 1896 when his glider crashed from a height of 15 meters. His last words before death were, "Sacrifices are inevitable." A Croatian soldier saying goodbye to a girl, 1995. It was their last meeting. Hachiko with his owner, Professor Ueno, 1924. The jaws of the extinct megalodon shark compared to a modern great white shark. A person after a lobotomy, official treatment involving the removal of part of the frontal lobes or severing connections between brain sections, 1935. In the 13th century near Paris, the giant gallows of Montfaucon were built, which have not survived to this day. Executions for 50 people could be carried out there simultaneously. Edward Smith, the captain of the Titanic. The voyage on the Titanic was supposed to be Smith's last before retirement. After the death of Abraham Lincoln, he was reburied 17 times due to repairs and security threats, with the coffin being opened 6 times. He finally found peace only in 1901. Emotions at the funeral of beloved leader Kim Jong-il, 2011. This roller coaster was designed specifically to end one's life painlessly and easily. According to the creator's design, it can be used for humane capital punishment. March into the underworld. The German unit Freiwilligen Legion Nederlande advances to the line of attack in the snows near Leningrad. 10 hours later, none of those captured in the photo were alive. A brothel for German soldiers organized in a former synagogue, 1940. Judging by the photo, it was exclusively for soldiers. Victorious British soldiers of the 137th Staffordshire Brigade of the 46th Division resting after the Battle of Saint-Quentin Canal, northern France, September 29, 1918. In the USSR, a tax on childlessness existed from November 1941, which amounted to 6% of the salary. Cleo Wright's jail photo from 1940. 2 years later, he was lynched. A white mob dragged him from his cell and burned him alive for the attempted rape of a woman and the murder of a police officer. Alice Ulpian, Beauty Queen, France, 1921. From 1871, a ban on homosexuality was in effect in Germany. Even a kiss was punished. 50,000 people were convicted in the Third Reich. The law was not repealed after the war, and people remained in prisons until 1969. In 1974, Pharaoh Ramesses II was issued a real Egyptian passport so that his 3,000-year-old mummy could be legally transported to Paris for restoration. Photo related to HIV awareness by the CDC Historical Archives that was removed by Trump. Thanks. The bathtub of Russian Emperor Alexander I. In 1972, Spanish postman Gabriel March Grandos was sentenced to 384,912 years in prison, the longest sentence in history, for destroying 42,768 letters he refused to deliver. The average lifespan in ancient Rome was 20 to 30 years. By the age of 20, 60% of peers were already dead. Only 1 in 3 lived to 30. Men died in wars, women during childbirth. Survivors: a 7760, a 7761, a 7762. This is how the Nazis designated 3 sisters when they brought them to Auschwitz in 1944. A photo of the seemingly kind family man, Heinrich Himmler, with his family from his photo album, but he was a Nazi, 1936. A policewoman removing 2 girls from the beach because of the improper appearance of their swimsuits, 1922, USA. Jews arrested after Kristallnacht, brought to Buchenwald, November 1938. Egyptians watching the airship Graf Zeppelin flying over the pyramids of Giza, 1931. Prince Charles looking bored at his mother's coronation, Queen Elizabeth II, June 2, 1953. It seems he already knew that waiting for the throne would be long. In the Greek theater, there was a special position, a rabdouche, whose duty was to beat overly rowdy spectators with a stick. Would you take such a job? What athletes of the 19th to 20th centuries looked like? The only Japanese survivor of the Titanic lost his job in his homeland and was nicknamed a coward because he did not show bravery and did not perish with the other passengers, as befitting a descendant of a samurai. Chinese celebrating the successful test of the first atomic bomb, Lop Nur Nuclear Test Site, 1964. Harvesting horseshoe crabs for fertilizer, USA, 1928. For hundreds of years, horseshoe crabs were harvested for fertilizer. This treatment of the species had a significant impact on their population. In public libraries of medieval Europe, books were chained to the shelves due to the high value of each copy. The Ku Klux Klan emerged immediately after the Civil War and the abolition of slavery in the USA. Its members killed ideological opponents at night and dreamed of reviving slavery. From 1932 to 1945, Japan enslaved over 200,000 Korean women. Ashamed of the past, many of them preferred death or a life in complete solitude, never returning to a normal life. License to practice prostitution, Great Britain, 1876. Punishment of a soldier of the Russian Imperial Army with rods in a rear unit for disobeying an officer's order, 1916. Martin Cooper from Motorola made the world's first mobile call. He called Joel S. Engel, a competitor from Bell Labs, 1973. An unbelievable family photo, Nevada, 1960s. German children destroying Nazi literature and swastikas in Cologne, 1945. A former Wehrmacht soldier begging, The sign reads, "No eyes, no hands." Germany, 1946. The last veterans and witnesses of the 1812 war between the Russians and Napoleon Bonaparte. At the centennial celebration of the Battle of Borodino, Russian Empire, 1912. Prisoners' shoes left at the site of the Butugichag camp in Kolyma, Russia, 1989. In the early last century, weight loss products were extremely dangerous. Pills containing dinitrophenol were sold. They prevented calories from turning into fat, but caused lethal poisoning. Violet Jessup worked on the liners Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic, all of which were shipwrecked, but she remained unharmed. The Holocaust Memorial in Budapest. At this location, Jews were ordered to remove their shoes before they were shot into the Danube River. In the Victorian era, hair became an important part of a woman's appearance, reflecting her status and femininity. Women never cut their hair, 19th century. This is Dr. Katie Booman, the computer scientist behind the first ever image of a black hole. She developed the algorithm that turned telescopic data into the historic photo we see today. John Spears, leader of the Green Corn Rebellion. In 1917, he and 1,000 farmers planned a march on Washington to overthrow the government and end U.S. involvement in World War I. Liberated Jews who were traveling on a German death train. World War II. Several members of the Ku Klux Klan prepare to greet the Gay Pride Parade in Chicago, 1986. Darwin made lists of pros and cons for marriage before his wedding. The pros list included constant companion and better than a dog. The cons list included having to visit relatives and less money to buy books. During World War II, the U.S. Department of Defense commissioned Walt Disney to design children's gas masks. Leather welder's mask, 1930s. Student training in sexuality enhancement courses, Japan, 1983. An annual horrifying festival takes place in the city of Yulin in June. The Chinese eat up to 15,000 dogs. The overall statistics are even more frightening. 4 million cats are eaten annually in China. In Puritan England in the 19th century, everything erotic was avoided. Even the legs of pianos were covered with cloths to prevent indecent thoughts. In Moscow, between several hundred and 2,000 to 3,000 people died in the crush at Stalin's funeral. Official figures are classified. In the 1930s, the Soviet Union attempted to create a human-chimpanzee hybrid through insemination. The experiments were unsuccessful and were discontinued. Residents of a Lithuanian village greeting a column of German tanks, 1941. In ancient Greece, a gift of a rabbit from one man to another signified an intention to engage in intimate relations with the recipient. In 1945, the USS Indianapolis was carrying an atomic bomb to Japan, but was torpedoed and sank. The sailors who ended up in the water were attacked by sharks. About 150 people died from their teeth. Prisoners of the Sachsenhausen concentration camp liberated by Soviet and Polish troops. Germany, 1945. Mass initiation ceremony into the Ku Klux Klan, 1946. Although the organization was banned in 1871, it exists to this day. Vin Mariani, a popular 19th century drink, called the favorite wine of celebrities such as Alexander Dumas, Conan Doyle, Robert Stevenson, Jules Verne, and even Queen Victoria. It contained cocaine and was banned in 1915. A crowd of white civilized Americans mocking two participants in the Black Civil Rights Movement, 1965. Sale of Wives, England 1780 to 1850. The procedure was organized as an auction. Benedict XVI, the 265th Pope, who became a member of the Hitler Youth in 1941 and served in an SS anti-aircraft battalion during World War II. The mummies of Guanajuato are considered the creepiest. Their distorted faces suggest people were buried alive. In the 19th century, due to unpaid grave taxes, bodies were exhumed and stored in basements, and later, a museum was created from the most frightening ones. The world's first photograph, which is also the first photograph taken during wartime, the Crimean War, 1853. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I hope these photos impressed you. Some may have made you angry, brought a smile, made you happy, or perhaps even caused some negativity. Feel free to leave your comments and stay tuned for the next part. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Bye.